The power of identity shifting. Relinquishing the past. Embracing the future. Have you ever encountered someone who seems perpetually mired in their struggles, weaving narratives of victimhood into every conversation? It's as though they've scripted themselves as the perennial underdog, replaying the same storyline ad nauseum. In contrast, individuals who exude resilience navigate life's obstacles with unwavering positivity. The difference lies in how they've embraced their narratives, one as a victim, the other as a conqueror. This is a crucial aspect of personal development. When we meet someone and start sharing things about our lives, considering this as a conversation on a friendly level, we not only talk about what's currently going on in our lives, but also tell stories from our past. We naturally do that because those events impacted who we became. In most cases, the stories we still carry with us and relay that have a lasting impact and leave their mark are either very painful or joyous, embedding themselves into our identity. However, we tend to quickly forget the good stuff and hold on to the painful experiences. While joy is fleeting, pain tends to linger, often becoming ingrained in our identity. Indeed, our beliefs about ourselves, our past, and our future are self-authored tales. Like master storytellers, we weave the threads of our experiences into a narrative that defines us. But here's the kicker. While we may be the architects of our stories, we're also the protagonists, directing the plot lines of our lives. This self-awareness is vital to self-improvement and self-worth. The theater of life. Imagine this. You're in a packed movie theater, and the film playing is your life. Every person you've ever known, family, friends, acquaintances, is in the audience, each viewing you through their own lens. As the protagonist of your story, you're keenly aware of how you're perceived, perhaps even feeling self-conscious through your lens. But here's the twist. Everyone sees you differently. Just as a color appears differently to each observer, so does your essence, which varies from viewer to viewer. This visualization can be a powerful tool for mindset transformation. Considering that you are viewed through different lenses all the time, it is absurd to think you can be responsible for what people think of you. Do you think you can keep everyone happy, especially the ones you love? Can you change people's perceptions about how they view life or their view of you? Of course not. So why do we punish ourselves, thinking we must conform to keep everyone content or play a role that fits their boxes? That is futile, and we tire ourselves of feeling responsible for our partner, parent, children, client, or friend's state of mind or feelings about us. Despite our best efforts, we can't control how others perceive us. We can't bend ourselves to fit their expectations or mold their opinions. Yet we often find ourselves contorting ourselves into shapes that please others, exhausting ourselves in pursuit of validation. But what if we flipped the script? What if we liberated ourselves from the burden of others' expectations and embraced our true selves, unencumbered by the weight of past narratives? After all, the stories we cling to, the ones that define us, are often mere illusions, distorted reflections of reality. Overcoming past trauma is essential in this process. Self-worth and relationships. Consider, for instance, the link between self-worth and relationships. It's easy to equate our value with our roles in others' lives, measuring our worth by the love we give and receive. But what happens when those relationships dissolve? Does our worth diminish? Of course not. We remain the sum of our intrinsic worth, untouched by the ebb and flow of external validation. The most important thing is what you think about yourself. What do you see when you watch your character in your movie? How you view who you are. You cannot control how others perceive you. You can be friendly to a group of people, and each person will still have an opinion that differs from the person next to him. Thus, you cannot base your worth on anyone's opinion or view of you, no matter who. You can be the best to everyone in your life. That is what we strive for. But in the end, your worth is only in how you feel inside. If you've been in a committed relationship in which you invested a lot, your time, energy, services, and affection, and made other sacrifices, you equate that with the worth you contributed to the relationship. People say, "I gave it my all." So that would be what worth you gave of yourself to the other person. In this relationship, what you exchange with the other person matters. Both parties give their best if they intend to have a good relationship. However, if you are no longer in such a relationship, does that mean you are not worthy anymore, just because there is no other person to share it with? Again, of course not. You are still the same person you went into the relationship with all the worth you contributed. You might have grown and learned some lessons, but your worth didn't change. Why do we attach our worthiness to a relationship? Some people are devastated when a relationship ends because they feel they have no use, purpose, or identity without someone else. If that is you, please find your sense of self. Understand that a relationship would not have been possible without what you brought into it. Even if the other party ended it, betrayed you, or made you feel rejected, know that that is due to different issues, and not because you are not worthy. If you think someone rejects you, it comes from a process of where both of you are. This means you might have grown apart without noticing the other person's values no longer align. There are numerous reasons, but not one concerns your worthiness. That is why you cannot be rejected, you only feel that way. There are other reasons why a relationship ended. And if we can accept it for what it is instead of thinking there is something wrong with us, we can heal from the loss. The link between self-worth and finances. Similarly, our relationship with money is fraught with misconceptions. We chase wealth to secure and maintain our status, believing it to be the key to happiness. Yet true contentment lies not in material abundance, but in realizing our inherent worth. Financial security and self-worth are deeply interconnected. Why is it helpful to work on our sense of self to improve our finances? Well, everything is linked. How do you expect to feel secure in your finances if you feel insecure in relationships or insufficient? Remember, the aim is not only to increase your net worth, but to increase your self-worth. Millions of people with a high net worth think their self-worth is attached to that, but they deceive themselves as they try to deceive others. That is why having more than enough money is not necessarily the answer to inner content. Money can contribute to many joyful experiences, but that is not the debate. Even then, you can be crying on a billion-dollar yacht. We are working towards feeling secure, sufficient, and worthy. From that feeling, more money can enter our lives as we allow it. Learn to receive it, make money our friend, and treat it with respect as we respect ourselves more. If we reject aspects of ourselves, we subconsciously reject other things. If you view money as an enemy or something negative, you reject or resist it. Why would you reject something that can bring good things and relieve stress? It makes no sense other than that you reject good stuff for yourself. In other words, you do not feel worthy of it. It is not the money in itself that is the underlying problem. It's our relationship with ourselves. You might disagree that you view money as a negative as you dream about having a large amount of money and how it will fix your life. The positive you dream about is having fewer problems and feeling better overall. The fix you want to have is the experience of feeling you have enough. What you are really longing for is knowing you are enough. The psychology of money is intricate, but one well-known phenomenon is that once people reach a financial target or earn more money, their target goes higher, or they spend more so they stay in the same position. They never feel they have gained enough because they still don't feel enough. You might say you'll be happy with just enough money not to stress about it. If that is your goal, work towards that by becoming enough to match that. However, we have an innate tendency to evolve. The rest must follow as we evolve naturally. So your enough will have to keep up. That is where lofty goals, such as philanthropy, come into play as you grow beyond your means only and want to contribute more to the world, of yourself through money or your time. If you don't have time to give to causes you feel passionate about, you are not free yet if you can't afford not working. Can you see that all are interlinked? Your big dreams are tied to having the money to accomplish them. They return to how you feel and believe about yourself. Of course, you can volunteer without being rich. In fact, you can travel the world without a lot of money. There are ways to do everything. If you want to create a fulfilling life with the freedom to do what you choose, you must invent that identity and do what is necessary to step into that. The future begins now. So where does that leave us? In this process of self-discovery, it's time to shed the skin of our past identities and step into the radiant light of authenticity. The answer, therefore, is simple. Aspire to know yourself inside and out, and explore who you are without the constrictions you have formed from past beliefs that came from other people who don't even recall the same events. People have carried stories with them for a lifetime, believing them as fact, only to discover that the other person involved had no clue about the same thing, so it was never an issue. There is so much we can let go of. As much as we care for our loved ones, people don't care that much. By that, I mean the stuff that you think is important that people have moved on from and forgotten. They have their stuff that nobody else cares about. No longer bound by the stories that once defined us, we can embrace our true selves, flawed, imperfect, and utterly human. This is the heart of personal growth. So let's look at it right here, right now. You are here as you are. Do you still identify with the stories of your past? Why not create a future where you no longer have to identify with the pain from the past? You say, but that is part of who I am. It is something you identify with. It isn't you. Choose your real identity, your authentic being, not someone shaped by others' actions. You are not your past. You are what you choose to become. So, let go of the past, embrace the future, and become the director of your own story. Thank you for joining me on this journey to financial independence and empowerment. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with other women who could benefit. For more insights, tools, and resources to assist you on your journey, visit prosperwoman.com or follow me on social media. Remember, every step you take brings you closer to the life of freedom and prosperity that you aspire to. Until next time, stay empowered, inspired, and take charge of your financial destiny.